Join ForumIAS Academy, trusted by hundreds of toppers, including IAS Rank 1 Shruti Sharma.
Hi, my name is Krishnan. I'll be doing the Hindi news analysis for the day. These are the 5 articles that are to be discussed, and towards the end, we'll see previous year prelims questions. Let us see the first article for the day. It is about Arab League and how Syria was admitted to it after 11 years. So, decade-long isolation of Syria is over. Now the Arab League has decided it will allow Syria in the league. So why was it suspended in 2011? What happened? Arab League suspended Syria from Arab League because what happened? There were peaceful protests, okay, and the Syrian government cracked it down. So what happened? Because of that, civil conflict was there, and close to 500,000 people died. Because of this, the Arab League decided Syria should not be a part of Arab League. So they were sent. So what happened in April? 9 Arab countries met, including all the Gulf states in Saudi Arabia, and they've decided, see whatever happened has happened. So now let us end Syria's diplomatic boycott and let us allow them back to the Arab League. So why is this more significant? Because the Syrian crisis is still going on, and they are telling we should take a humanitarian approach and help them. See, there is humanitarian and political problems going on in Syria, so we should take a humanitarian view and help them. So let us look in detail about Arab League. See, it is a regional organization, and countries from the Northern Africa, Western Africa, Eastern Africa, Western Asia, they're all part of it. And when was it formed? It was formed in 22nd March 1945. Initially, Egypt was the head of the Arab states, so it was formed in Cairo. Now only Saudi Arabia is the head of Arab states, but back in the days it was Egypt. So initially, who were the members? Egypt, Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon, Saudi Arabia, Syria, and then Yemen joined in 1945. So it has 22 members, and Syria was suspended since 2011. So what could be its goal? Closer relations between member states, and they want to safeguard their independence and sovereignty, and they want to conduct their affairs and interests that are good for Arab countries. So how does the league work? It has one vote in the Council of Arab League, and decisions are binding only for the states that have voted for them. So this is the important thing. So what are the aims of the league? Political, cultural, economic and social programs of its member, and if there are any problem, they'll mediate disputes between them. So of late, UPSC is not giving a map-based question, but they are directly asking, giving words itself. They are asking, what is this region? Where is the region? What are its borders, like that? So let us see Syria like that. So where is Syria? It is on the eastern coast of Mediterranean Sea in Southeast Asia. East coast of Mediterranean Sea. Okay, keep that in mind. And its capital is Damascus. And it's Barada River on the foot of Mount Qasim. So what are the countries that are bordering Syria? It has Turkey in the north, Iraq in the east and southeast, Jordan to the south, Lebanon and Israel to the southwest. So remember this place, Golan Heights, because it is very important, because until 1961 it was part of Syria. And then in the third Arab-Israeli war, that is the 6-day war, Israel captured Golan Heights from Syria. So, and in 1981, Israel annexed the region unilaterally. So what are the important facts about Syria? The very famous Euphrates River is here and is the only navigable river in Syria. And people speak Arabic here. Other languages are Kurdish. You know, there are Kurdish people there. They speak Kurdish. They are different from Arab people. And Sunni Muslims are the majority. 3/4 of population is Sunni majority. Now let us move on to the next article. This article is about what is happening in Manipur. Let us see it in detail. So if you are following the news, there are a lot of deadly clashes going on in Manipur, sadly. And 2 days back, an IRS officer was dragged out from his house by a mob, and he was lynched to death. So a lot of sad news coming from Manipur. I hope situation is brought under control very soon. So let us see why is this happening, and what are the issues there. So as you all know, Manipur is the northeastern state of India, and there are a lot of violent clashes between different ethnic groups and tribes are going on. And the center has taken control of security in Manipur by using Article 355. So remember this article. And the conflict is between Métis. So Métis are the people living in the valley, and the tribals are people living in the hill regions, and they have a lot of conflicts regarding political, economic, and cultural issues. So the valley is just 10% of the Manipur's geography. It is dominated by non-tribal Métis. So they are 64% of the state's population, and produce 40% of the states, and produce 40 of the state's 60 MLAs. So 64% of the population, but 40% of the 60 MLAs. So, but the hills, 90% of the state's geographical region, and are home to 35% of the officially recognized tribes. So 35% of the officially recognized tribes, but they sent only 20 MLAs to the assembly. So you see there is disproportion in the way how MLAs are sent. So, but you should know Métis are non-tribals, and majority of them are Hindus, followed by Muslims, and there are 33 recognized tribes, and most of the Nagas and Kukis are Christians only. They have all been in the 1940s and 1950s, they were all converted to Christianity. So the problem here is Métis are living in the valleys. They are non-tribals and they are Hindus, and it is against the people living in hills who are Kukis and Nagas, and they are mostly Christian, and few of them follow animistic faith. What is the current tension? All tribal students union of Manipur, they carried a solidarity march, and what did they ask for? What did they ask for in the solidarity march? They are telling Métis community should be included in the ST list. So this is where the problem started. So how this started? Because the Manipur High Court, it directed the state to pursue. It told so for the 10 years, Métis people are asking for SC status. So the Manipur High Court told to give them. So this is where the problem started. So what else should you know about Métis people? They are the dominant community of Manipur because their population is high, and they are majorly found in and around the Imphal plains. They are also found in other states like Assam, Tripura, Nagaland, Meghalaya, and Mizoram. Some of them are in Myanmar and Bangladesh also. So majority of them identify as Hindu. So more than 90% of them are Hindus, I guess, but I'm not sure. Some people say it is only 50 to 60% of them are Hindus, and 8% are Muslim. They speak Métis language, which is officially known as Manipuri, and as you all know, it belongs to the Tibeto-Burman language family. So this is very important from the exam point of view. Their dance form, Manipuri dance, it comes from the Lai Haroba dance form, and their martial art form is Tangda. They have asked all these questions in UPSC before, and they play a type of polo which is called Sagol Kangjai, and Mukna Kangjai is also a type of wrestling that is popular among Métis. So they're asking for ST status. You see what are the ST status right now? Local committee has given all these things: primitive traits, distinct culture, backwardness, geographic isolation, and shyness of contact with large community. I'm not sure if Métis will come under all these things, but they're still asking for ST status. Article 355, you should know this, they might ask in the exam. Part 18 of the Constitution of India, from Article 350 to 360. So using this, the government has to protect every state in terms of external aggression and internal disturbances. So if they are going through all this, they'll have to, the center has to protect the state going through these problems. So that is all about this article. Now let us move on to the next article. This article is about IEDs and how Maoists are using it to kill Indian army personnel. So what is IED? It is improvised explosive device. So let us see this article. So what they are telling, These IEDs are the most potent tools which are used by Maoists. So what they'll do, they'll hide it under the land. It is like landmines. So once you step on it, it will explode and people will die. Here, especially the army personnel will die. So what happened? 10 Jawans and the driver was a civilian. They were returning in a van and they were returning in van, and when they were when they put their when the van was over that IED, it exploded. So now let us see how this IED works and what are the problems we have with it. So this IED is a non-commercial homemade bomb. So this is not generally made in a conventional military way. So it can also be constructed in such a way that it is the conventional military explosive, and they can have a detonating mechanism also. But generally it is made in a non-conventional way, and it is made like a non-commercial homemade bomb. So these roadside bombs are the common use of IEDs. But what is the problem with these IEDs of late is the army personnel, the paramilitary force, CRPF, they know IEDs will be planted in these areas, but why they are not able to help themselves out of it? It's because they are not able to detect these IEDs. So why they are not able to detect? We'll see the quantity of metal that is used in these IEDs. Of late, the Maoists have realized that the Jawans are finding this bombs. So what they are doing is they are reducing the quantity of metal in IEDs. So what is happening? So mine detectors, this metal detector, are not able to detect it, and ground penetrating radar and this radar which can detect disturbance in the soil surface. The ground penetrating radar has also not been successful, and it is always generating false alarms. So because of these ground penetrating radars also, IEDs are not they are not able to detect these IEDs, and not much of R&D has undergone in this IED detection thing. So the details printed on the boxes containing the detonators, it is not enough to find who are the planters, who gave the source, and because of that, the army and the paramilitary is not able to punish the people who are involved in this dastardly act. So what is the way forward? The government should join hands with industry and improve the technology to detect IEDs, and the central government should amend the rules to make the manufacturers, those who are making it, so they should have unique ID should be given to detonators, so that the government will know who the manufacturers are. And the issue of IEDs, India should raise it in UN and other humanitarian forum, telling that Maoists are doing these things. So, and they're telling start using technologies such as UAVs, drones, so that suspicious movement where security forces move. So, telling in these areas you use drones and UAVs. And the next they're telling do visual search. That is also very important, because 100 to 150 meters on both the side you do visual search and see for suspicious elements. Then only then easily we can find IEDs. So these are the 5 methods that they're telling, so that no more lives are lost because of IED blast. So see this map is very important, because in these areas it is expected Maoists are there. This area is a bit surprising, because generally in Tamil Nadu you do not have Maoists, but they are expanding, and this is also very worrying, because in Northeast there was no Maoist presence, but now they are expanding in those areas also. So what they are doing there, they are forming, see in Assam and Manipur, Maoists are forming links with Northeast terror groups. So this is a worrying trend. So let us hope this violence comes to an end. Now let us move on to the next. This topic is about India's first national water body census. Now let us see what they are telling in this article. So this is the first ever water body census. It was conducted by who? Ministry of Jal Shakti. So as you all know, India is facing a water crisis. There's groundwater decline and biodiversity loss. Climate change is increasing the frequency of floods, and at the same time droughts are also increasing. So what is the use of water body? Food and water security, and they also support livelihoods by recharging groundwater, and they provide water for irrigation. And if you have cattle, pets and other livestock. They also give them water, and they have cultural and ecological significance also. What is the cultural significance? For Hindus, most of their festivals is in water bodies only, right from birth to death. Everything starts with water bodies only. But what has happened recently? Water bodies are increasingly under the threat from pollution, encroachment, urbanization, and rain. So, to conserve and manage them effectively, what do we need? We need action plans, and for that, we need data. To manage water bodies, what do we know? What else do we need? Contextual knowledge. Contextual means to that region, to that localized area, what are the specifics? And traditional knowledge. Generally, communities have their own traditional knowledge. It is called folk wisdom. So, all these have to be integrated with data to conserve them and preserve them properly. See, but data on reservoirs and rivers, they are already available on India Water Resource Information System. But there are a lot of smaller water bodies in India. They are only lifeline of rural India, and they are very critical for the cultural life of Indians, flood control and recreational spaces in cities. For them, these smaller water bodies only important. But for that, we do not have any data. So this census takes into account all these places. So it covered all natural as well as human-made units, irrespective of condition or use. Even if it is not being used right now, the census covered all those things. And the census was built on already existing and publicly available satellite-derived datasets. So that also was there. And but one thing you should know is it included units that can be observed only from space. And one good thing is this census took into account the social characteristics, including who owns it, how is it used, and what is the condition. All those things also they took into account. And what is this data showing? It is a large national effort. So it is allowing us to compare spatial and temporal trends across the country. So taking one data from Tamil Nadu, we can compare it with Madhya Pradesh. Like that, because it's a large national effort, we can compare and contrast with other states. So what did they find in this data? Most water bodies in the countries are very, very small. That is, they are less than 1 hectare. I mean, that is not very small, but they are classified as small units. So water bodies are less than 1 hectare. So traditionally, how these water bodies were marked? They were marked using satellites, but the scientists and experts feel this will not work any further. So they're telling we need ground-based tracking. So what did they find here? The water bodies show regional pattern that are correlating with rainfall. So based on rainfall only, water bodies are managed and used across India. So drier states like Gujarat, Maharashtra, Rajasthan, here the water bodies are very large and they are publicly held. In wetter parts like Kerala, West Bengal, and states in Northeast, three-fourths of the water bodies are privately owned. And in drier states, water bodies are used for irrigation and groundwater recharge. But in wetter states, groundwater is used for domestic use. Pisciculture dominate. They are using it for small-scale industries. And mid-sized water bodies are, as usual, they are owned by panchayats only. So, but what they also found is most of these water bodies have never been repaired or rejuvenated, and several of these water bodies are not in use also. So finally, the author is telling, see, the census is a good thing only, but how can we improve them? First, he's telling there are certain gaps. Water bodies have an important role in supporting biodiversity. Their ecological functions are there, and they are all related to the size of their location and other water bodies that are there in the region. But the water body is not, this water body census is not talking about their ecological role, their environmental role. Rather, it is only focusing on human use. That is how this water body can be used for pisciculture and things like that. They are not talking about how these water bodies are important for natural biodiversity. And in the questionnaire, what they did is they left out the most common reasons for misuse, like eutrophication. So these are the most common reasons for disuse of a water body, right? What are they? Eutrophication, sewage pollution, solid waste dumping. All these things they did not talk about in the census. Next, there are inconsistencies. What are the inconsistencies? First, you should know that there are 5 types of water bodies. What are they? Ponds, tanks, lakes, reservoirs, and water conservation. So these are the 5 types. So see, the census glossary defined a pond as a smaller water body than a tank, and it talked about water conservation structures that include check dams and percolation tanks. But what they do not know is many tanks that were traditionally used for irrigation purposes also served as recharge structures. So this classification, the author is telling, is not right. So see, in Karnataka, these were classified as ponds and tanks serving the purpose of irrigation, whereas the same ponds and tanks in Maharashtra, they were classified as water conservation structures, primarily serving the purpose of groundwater research. So in Karnataka and Maharashtra, both having same ponds and tanks only, but here they are telling its role was irrigation, but in Maharashtra it is groundwater recharge. So the author is telling there are inconsistencies. So but what is really inconsistent is neither state has tank irrigation. So next, what the author is telling, the data is not standardized. So see, in some states like Gujarat, do not show any water bodies not being used. So in Gujarat, all the water bodies are being put to use, but in Karnataka, 80% of the water bodies are not being used. So the census report is not standardized, like that the author is claiming. So the author is telling this is because there is difference in interpretation by the enumerators. Those who went to count the census, it is their fault, like that the author is arguing. But in spite of all these things, notwithstanding these shortcomings, the author is praising and she is telling the government should continue such nationwide census. So the first edition itself, it has given a lot of high-level indications like who owns the water body, what is the type of use, and what are the costs for construction and repair. All this data this census has. She is telling this is a good thing, and it also tells why and how water bodies must be restored, and how agencies' capacities should be strengthened, and where to get the fund, and who will benefit from such efforts. So it gives so much data. So even though there are shortcomings, she's telling this is a welcome sign. So she's telling if you do this like every 10 years, you'll get vital data, which is very, very important because countries like India are dependent on water bodies and water scarcity is increasing. So she's telling every 5 or 10 years, you do census like this. This will be very good for the country as a whole. Now let us move on to the next article. This article is about China's foreign policy and what it tries to do with Afghanistan. So recently what happened, China released a paper on its what type of policy it is going to follow with Afghanistan. It was titled China's Position on the Afghan Issue. So it is a 11-point paper and it is important for two reasons. First, it talks about what will China's involvement be in Afghanistan. Then it gives a clear indication of its policy towards this country and how it will prioritize its engagement with the Taliban. So why is this important? Because it is reflective of China's recent effort to refashion how it is viewed internationally. Because China is actually seen as someone who is disturbing the current world order. It is not wanting to maintain status quo. It is wanting to disturb the current world order. So it wants to change that. It wants to change that into what? It is invested in addressing international hot button issues with which it has no motivation or vested interest. So this change in its view is also important. We should see it in this angle also. So have a look at this map. See, this is China. This Xinjiang is also part of China. This is Afghanistan. You see a very small line connecting them. So this is the border area of Afghanistan with China. Keep this map in your mind. I'll tell you why this small border area is very important. So let us see what is the context of this policy. So they are talking about core principles of China is with respect to 3 respects and 3 nevers. So what it is respecting? It is respecting the independence, sovereignty and territorial integrity of Afghanistan. And next it is talking about independent choice. That is the religious sentiments and national customs of Afghan people will be respected. So what is China telling? Afghanistan is currently in a transitioning period because of the turbulence that US caused in Afghanistan. So, and what China is telling, see, West failed in Afghanistan. So whatever your objectives were in China, you failed to achieve it. So that China is trying to establish in this policy paper. And it is telling your decision to intervene militarily here and force democracy without taking the culture, tradition, and the political background of Afghanistan was the starting place for all the crises that happened in Afghanistan. So it is to some extent it is right only what China is telling. Next, it is telling this unilateral action of Afghanistan by Western powers and freezing their reserves. Everything was. It is telling all these are wrongs that were done to Afghanistan. So China is telling it will. It is we want reversal of all these actions. Next, what China is telling is very important because they're telling we'll have a grouping to talk about Afghan issue without US or its allies or its related groupings. So he's telling no longer we'll be in regional groupings that has US and its allies. We need the groupings that are not US centric. So examples are SCO, Moscow Format Dialogue, Foreign Ministers Group, and China, Afghanistan, Pakistan trilateral foreign ministers dialogue. So they are telling in these areas we'll talk about Afghanistan and what we can do for its people. So here China is trying to tell these places will be an alternate model to help the Afghanistan. It will not be like the battered approach of the West. So then it is telling our involvement is purely based on humanitarian aspect. We want to be good neighbors and mutual respect. So he's telling our view towards Afghanistan is based on only these things. But what you should know, Beijing has its own interest. What that they have not that they are not talking about. What their interest we'll see. And it also talked about how US left Afghanistan abruptly and it is calling it abdication of responsibility. It's telling China will never do such a thing, but see, US is doing all those things. So next it is telling stability of Afghanistan is very important for China, and China's security and economic interest also lies with stability of Afghanistan. So that is why China is giving so much interest to Afghanistan. And if China is able to stabilize Afghanistan, it will be a counter to US hegemony, both politically and financially. So finally, what has Taliban done? It has welcomed the China's long-term political support to the country. So the Taliban is telling Chinese have always supported us. This is also good that the policy that they have given, it is good for us. So, but China's success in Afghanistan will always be dependent on what Taliban could get from the Chinese. So now let us see from India's perspective. India is seeing that China is engaging with Russia, Iran, Central Asian countries, and Afghanistan also. So India is doing wait and watch. We'll see how all these policies are taking shape and what it means to Afghanistan, what India's role in Afghanistan, how it will change. Everything will wait and watch. Like that, they are waiting. But I told why this border area is very important. This border area, why is this important, is because there is a East Turkmenistan revolutionary group, like that a terrorist group is there. Through this border, they might go to Afghanistan and get arms and training, and they might come back to Xinjiang and they might fight with Chinese. So that is why Chinese are very concerned about the stability of Afghanistan. So from this is the economic, this is the security angle of it. Now let us go to the previous year question. So 10-degree channel, where is it? It separates what? This is a sitter. It is Andaman and Nicobar. So classical languages, what are the classical languages among these three? Kannada and Telugu. All South Indian languages are classical languages. So the answer is Kannada and Telugu. So answer is 2 and 3. So where is Dampa? Can you guess? So Dampa Tiger Reserve is in Mizoram only. That is right. Where is Gumti? They might ask questions like this. So Gumti is not in Sikkim. Gumti is in Tripura. And where is Saramati Peak? Saramati Peak is in Nagaland only. So only the second is wrong. So the answer is C, 1 and 3 only. So Radcliffe Committee, this is also a sitter. Very easy question. Where is Radcliffe Committee? It is in, what was the Radcliffe Committee about? It was about the delimitation of boundaries between India and Pakistan. It was set up during the independence time. So that is all for the day. I hope you liked it. If you liked it, please do share it among your friends. You can also follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Telegram, and Facebook. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you again.